Imagine this. You're sitting with a friend, laughing over coffee, when they mention a promotion they just got. Suddenly, a tiny twist of jealousy curls up in your chest. You brush it off, sip your drink, and smile, but it's still there, nagging. Or maybe you're driving home, and someone cuts you off. You honk, you mutter something sharp, and then you wonder, where did that come from? These little moments, they're not just random. They're whispers from a part of you that's been hiding in the dark. What if I told you those flickers of feeling, the ones you push away, aren't just flaws to fix? What if they're clues to something bigger, something truer about you? Carl Jung, a man who spent his life exploring the human soul, called this hidden part the shadow. It's not a scary monster under your bed. It's more like a quiet friend you've forgotten, one who's been holding on to pieces of you that you didn't know you needed. Jung had this wild, beautiful idea. We're not just the person we show the world, the one who's polite, hardworking, or fine all the time. There's more to us, tucked away in the corners of our mind. The shadow is where we stash the stuff we don't like, anger, shame, maybe even dreams we're too shy to chase. But here's the twist. It's also where some of our best parts hide. That jealousy, maybe it's a sign you want more for yourself. That burst of frustration, it could be your strength waking up. I know, it sounds a little out there, but stick with me. Jung wasn't about making things complicated. He wanted us to look at ourselves with kindness, like sitting down with an old friend and saying, "Hey, what's really going on?" He believed that if we're brave enough to peek into that shadow, we might find something amazing. Not just the messy bits, but the gold, the courage, the quirks, the you've been afraid to be. So, what if we took that chance? What if, instead of running from those weird, uncomfortable feelings, we turned around and said hello? This isn't about digging up pain for no reason. It's about finding the whole you. The you that's been waiting, tapping its foot, ready to step into the light. Let's walk through this together, with Jung as our guide, and see where it takes us. Ready? Let's start with something simple. Picture your mind like a house, a cozy, messy, wonderful place that's all yours. There's the living room where you welcome guests, the kitchen where you whip up your favorite meals, and maybe a sunny porch where you dream big. But then, tucked away down a hallway, there's a door you don't open much. It's not locked tight, but it's got a bit of dust on the handle. Behind it, that's your shadow. Carl Jung, this wise soul who spent years peering into what makes us tick, gave that room a name. He called it the shadow because it's the part of you that stays out of the light. Not because it's bad, but because you've tucked it away. It's where you shove the stuff you don't want anyone to see. Maybe it's a flash of anger you're ashamed of, or a wild wish you think is silly. Ever felt a pang of envy when someone else shines? That's in there too. I get it, talking about a shadow might sound a little spooky, like something from a ghost story. But it's not like that. Think of it as a secret room you've forgotten about. It's been there since you were a kid, growing with you. Remember when you were little, and someone told you, "Don't cry, be strong," or "Good girls don't get mad"? Those moments were like little hands pushing bits of you behind that door. Over time, it got crowded in there, full of feelings and pieces of yourself you didn't know what to do with. Here's a story to make it real. I had a friend once, let's call her Mia. She was the sweetest person, always smiling, always helping out. But one day, we were chatting, and she admitted something. "Sometimes," she said, "I get so mad I want to scream. But I don't, because what would people think?" That anger, it didn't make her a bad person. It was just a piece of her shadow, knocking on the door, asking to be let out for a bit. We've all got something like that, don't we? A feeling we stuff down because it doesn't fit the us we show the world. Now, here's where Jung gets really interesting. He didn't see the shadow as some dark villain we need to fight. He thought of it as a part of us that's just waiting for us to turn around and say, "Hey, I see you." Because here's the thing, it's not all bad stuff in there. Sure, there's the jealousy, the grumpiness, the little hurts we don't talk about. But there's gold too. Maybe that envy you feel is really a quiet longing to chase your own dreams. Maybe that anger is your heart saying, "I deserve better." Let me tell you about another moment from my life. A while back, I caught myself daydreaming about quitting my job and traveling the world. Silly, right? I'd laugh it off. Who has time for that? And shove it away. But one day, I stopped and wondered, why does that keep popping up? Turns out, it wasn't just a crazy idea. It was my shadow whispering about a part of me that craves adventure, freedom, a bigger life. I didn't quit my job, not yet. But noticing that dream changed something. It felt like I'd opened that dusty door, just a crack, and found a treasure map inside. That's what Jung wanted us to see. The shadow isn't here to embarrass us or drag us down. It's more like a kid tugging at your sleeve, trying to show you something cool. Yeah, it's got some messy bits, nobody's perfect. But it's also holding on to strengths you didn't know you had. Think about it. Have you ever surprised yourself? Maybe you stood up for something when you didn't think you could. Or you created something beautiful out of nowhere. That's your shadow sneaking out saying, "See, I've got your back." So what's in your secret room? You don't have to barge in and turn on all the lights just yet. Maybe just stand by the door for a second and listen. What's that little voice saying? Is it something you've been ignoring because it feels too big, too raw to you? Jung would tell us not to be afraid. He'd say this is where the real stuff happens, where we start to find the pieces of ourselves we didn't even know we'd lost. And trust me, once you start peeking in there, you might just fall in love with what you find. So, we've peeked into that dusty room called the shadow. Now let's step back into the rest of the house, your mind, and wander around a bit. Imagine there's someone walking around in there, acting like they own the place. That's your ego. Carl Jung saw the ego as the part of you that says, "This is me." It's the voice that gets you out of bed, picks your outfit, and decides what to say when your boss asks how you're doing. It's like the friendly manager of your everyday life. But here's the catch. The ego isn't the whole you. It's just the part that shows up for the daily grind. Jung had this bigger idea. He called it the self. The self is like the wise, quiet owner of the house, watching everything from a cozy armchair. It knows about the shadow, the dreams, the little quirks the ego pretends don't exist. While the ego's busy keeping things neat and tidy, the self is whispering, "There's more to you than this." Ever feel like you're playing a role, but deep down, you're itching to break free? That's the self tapping you on the shoulder. Let's talk about that role for a sec, the one the ego loves to play. Jung called it the persona. Picture it as a mask you put on when you step outside. Maybe you're the helpful coworker at the office, nodding and smiling even when you're wiped out. Or the chill friend who never complains, even when you're boiling inside. I used to do this all the time. Walk into a room and flip a switch. Be nice, be funny. Don't mess up. It's not fake exactly. It's just what we do to fit in, right? I remember this one day at work. I'd been running on empty, late nights, too much coffee, and someone asked me to fix something last minute. My persona kicked in. "Sure, no problem," I said with a big grin. But inside, I wanted to groan and hide under my desk. That mask, it's handy. It keeps the peace, gets us through. But man, it gets heavy after a while. Ever feel that weight? Like you're carrying someone else's version of you? Jung didn't think the persona was bad. It's like a coat you wear in a storm, useful, protective. But he'd nudge us to remember, it's not you. The real you, the self, doesn't need to perform all the time. It's okay to take the mask off sometimes, even if it's just with yourself. Maybe late at night, when the world's quiet, you let that tired, messy, honest you breathe a little. That's when the self starts to stretch its legs. Now here's where Jung throws in a little magic, something called the anima and animus. Don't let the fancy name scare you. It's simpler than it sounds. He said that inside every guy, there's a hidden feminine side, the anima. And in every woman, there's a masculine spark, the animus. It's not about rules or stereotypes. It's about the soft and strong bits we all carry, no matter who we are. Let me paint you a picture. My buddy Sam, he's this big, tough guy, loves fixing cars and lifting weights. But one day, I caught him tearing up at a movie. Not a loud sob, just a quiet sniffle. He laughed it off, but I saw it. His anima peeking out. That gentle side didn't make him weak, it made him whole. Then there's my sister Lynn. She's all about art and feelings, but when someone tried to push her around, she stood tall and firm. That was her animus saying, "I've got this." These hidden pieces, they're like secret ingredients in a recipe. The ego might not know what to do with them, and the persona definitely doesn't want them on display. But the self, it loves them. Jung thought they show up in our dreams, our crushes, even the fights we pick. Ever notice how someone can drive you nuts, but you're drawn to them anyway? That's the anima or animus stirring things up, pulling you towards something you didn't know you needed. I'll tell you about a time this hit me. I used to fall hard for people who were total opposites, bold, loud, fearless. I'd think, why them? Then I realized, my quiet, careful ego was running the show, but my anima was craving that spark. It wasn't just about them. It was about me, wanting to let that wilder side out. Jung would say that's the self trying to balance things, mixing the soft and the strong until you're not just one thing, but everything. So where does this leave us? The ego's doing its job, keeping us on track. The persona's out there, smiling for the crowd. But the self, it's waiting for us to listen. It's asking us to drop the mask sometimes, to let those hidden sides, soft, tough, whatever they are, join the party. It's not about throwing out who you've been. It's about adding to it, letting the real you stretch out and take up space. What would happen if you gave it a try? Just for a moment, let the mask slip and see who's underneath. Okay, we've wandered through the house of your mind, the shadow's secret room, the ego's busy office, the persona's wardrobe of masks. Now let's sit down for a minute, maybe with a warm drink, and talk about what's hiding in those personal corners of yours. Carl Jung called this the personal shadow, the stuff that's just yours, tucked away like old letters you're not sure you want to read. It's the little things you don't show, maybe don't even admit to yourself. What does that look like? Well, it's different for everyone, but let's try something. Think about the last time you got annoyed, really annoyed. Maybe your friend forgot to call, or someone cut in line at the store. You felt that heat rise, didn't you? But then what? Did you swallow it down, paste on a smile and say, "It's fine"? That irritation, it's not a flaw. It's a piece of your shadow, waving hello. Or how about envy? Ever scroll through someone's perfect life online and feel a twinge? That's in there too. I'll let you in on a moment of mine. A while back, I was at a family party, and my cousin was going on about his new car. Shiny, fast, the works. Everyone was oohing and ahhing, and I caught myself thinking, must be nice. It wasn't loud or mean, just a quiet jab in my head. I brushed it off. I'm happy for him, right? But later, I wondered, why did that sting? Turns out, it wasn't about the car. It was my shadow poking me, saying, "Hey, you want more too, don't you?" Jung said these bits, the anger, the jealousy, the stuff we shove under the rug, they're not there to make us feel bad. They're like signals, little flares from the personal shadow, trying to tell us something. Maybe that annoyance at your friend isn't just pettiness, it's you craving respect. Maybe that envy isn't weakness, it's a nudge to chase what lights you up. The trick is not to run from it, but to turn around and ask, "What's up?" It's funny how sneaky these shadows can be. They don't always shout, they whisper. Like when you snap at someone you love, then feel awful about it. I did that once with my mom. She was fussing over something small, my messy room, I think. And I barked, "Can you just stop?" The second it came out, I wanted to take it back. But instead of burying it, I sat with it. Why'd I snap? Turns out, I was tired, stretched thin, and my shadow was like, "Give me a break." It wasn't pretty, but it was honest. Here's the thing Jung wanted us to get. Your personal shadow isn't your enemy. It's not some dark twin out to ruin you. It's just you, unpolished, raw real. And yeah, it's got some rough edges, but it's also got dreams and strengths you've tucked away. Ever surprise yourself with how brave you can be? Like standing up for a friend or pushing through a tough day. That's your shadow too. Not just the messy parts, but the gold. Now let's zoom out a little. Your shadow's personal, sure, but it's not the only one in the room. Jung talked about something bigger, the collective shadow. This is the darkness we share, the stuff that bubbles up in families, towns, whole countries. It's the unspoken things we all carry together, like old grudges or fears we pretend aren't there. Ever notice how a group can turn sour fast? 1 minute it's laughs, the next it's tension you can cut with a knife. That's the collective shadow stirring. Think about history for a second, not the dry textbook kind, but the real, human stuff. Jung pointed to things like wars, where whole society's shadow explodes. Take something huge, like what happened in Nazi Germany. It wasn't just one person's hate. It was a collective darkness, ignored and fed until it swallowed everything. Or closer to home, family feuds that go on for years, neighbors turning cold over some forgotten slight. That's the collective shadow too, piling up in the cracks. I saw this once in my own little world. Growing up, my town had this unspoken divide. Two sides who didn't mix much. Nobody talked about it, but you could feel it. Old stories, hurt feelings, us versus them. One summer, it boiled over at a festival, yelling, finger-pointing, all over something dumb like a parking spot. It wasn't just about that day. It was years of buried stuff breaking loose. Sound familiar? Maybe your family's got its own version, a silent rift nobody fixes. Jung's big idea here is that these shadows, personal and collective, they're connected. What you hide in your little room doesn't just stay there. It ripples out. If I let my envy fester, maybe I snap at my cousin, and he carries that sting to someone else. Or if a whole group ignores its ghosts, it festers into something uglier. But here's the hope. It works the other way too. When you face your shadow, you lighten the load. Not just for you, but for everyone around you. Let me share one more story. A friend of mine, Tara, grew up hearing her grandpa's bitter rants about those people across town. She'd nod, not knowing why it felt wrong. But one day, she asked him, "What happened?" It was slow, messy, but he told her, a betrayal from decades ago, never healed. That talk didn't fix everything, but it cracked a window. Tara started seeing those people as just people. Her personal shadow, swallowing that unease, met the collective one, and something shifted. So what about you? What's in your personal shadow that might tie to something bigger? Maybe it's a grudge you hold, or a fear you've inherited from the people around you. Jung would say, don't be scared to look. Start small. Notice that twinge next time it comes up. Ask it what it wants. Because when you do, you're not just healing you. You're loosening the knots in the world too. It's like lighting a candle in a dark room. Suddenly, everyone can see a little better. So, we've been poking around the edges of this shadow thing. Your personal quirks, the collective baggage we all carry. Now, let's take a deep breath and step a little closer. What if we didn't just peek at that dusty door in your mind, but cracked it open? Not to fling it wide and let everything spill out, but to sit with it, like you would with a friend who's got something to say. Carl Jung called this shadow work, and it's less about fixing yourself and more about saying, "Hey, I'm here to listen." I know, it might sound a little daunting. Who wants to dig into the stuff we've spent years hiding? But here's the thing. Jung didn't see this as a big, scary showdown. He thought of it as a quiet adventure, a chance to meet the parts of you that have been waiting in the wings. And trust me, it's not as hard as it sounds. You don't need a fancy degree or a therapy couch. You just need a bit of curiosity and a willingness to be honest with yourself. Let's start with something easy, dreams. Ever wake up from a weird one and think, what was that about? Maybe you're running from something, or yelling at someone you'd never dare to in real life. Jung loved dreams. He called them little postcards from your shadow. They're not random. They're your unconscious mind tapping you on the shoulder, saying, "Look at this." I had a dream once where I was shouting at a crowd, all fire and fury. Me, the quiet one. But it stuck with me, so I scribbled it down. That's one way to meet your shadow. Just jot down those nighttime movies your brain plays. You don't have to figure it all out right away. Just notice. What were you feeling in the dream? Was it anger, fear, something else? For me, that shouting dream wasn't about being mean. It was my shadow saying, "You've got a voice, use it." It's like finding a note you wrote to yourself years ago and forgot about. What's your shadow scribbling to you? Another way. Look at what bugs you and other people. Jung had this brilliant idea. The stuff that drives us nuts about someone else is often a mirror. It's something in us we've shoved into the shadow. I used to get so annoyed at this guy at work. Let's call him Jake. He'd strut around, all confident, talking over everyone. I'd roll my eyes and mutter, Who does he think he is? Then one day, I stopped. Why did that get under my skin? Turns out, I envied that confidence. I wanted it, but I'd buried mine deep. Try it yourself. Next time someone rubs you the wrong way, don't just stew. Ask, what's this about? Maybe your sister's loud laugh irks you because you've silenced your own joy. Or a friend's laziness bugs you because you're scared to rest. It's not about blaming them. It's about seeing what's knocking around in your shadow. For me, spotting that envy with Jake was like turning on a light. I didn't become him, but I started letting my own quiet confidence peek out. Then there's the simplest trick. Just sit with yourself. No big setup, just a quiet moment, maybe with a notebook or just your thoughts. Ask, what am I feeling right now that I don't want to? I did this once after a rough day. I was mad, snappy, short with everyone, but I didn't know why. So I sat on my couch, closed my eyes, and let it come. It was messy, frustration, a little sadness, some old hurt I'd ignored. I didn't fix it. I just let it be there. And you know what? It felt lighter after, like I'd given it room to breathe. Jung had this beautiful line. He said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." It's not about chasing some perfect, shiny version of you. It's about turning toward the shadows, the stuff that's not so pretty, and saying, okay, you're part of me too. It's like cleaning out a closet. You don't love the dust, but finding that old jacket you forgot about, that's worth it. Here's a story to bring it home. My friend Priya. She's this bright, bubbly person, always on. But one night over tea, she got quiet. "I'm tired of being the happy one," she said. "Sometimes I just want to scream." I asked what stopped her. She shrugged. Years of being the strong one for everyone. So we tried something. She wrote down what she'd say if she could scream. It was raw. Anger at her family. Fear of letting them down. She didn't shout it out loud, but putting it on paper? She said it felt like letting a weight drop. That's shadow work, small steps, big shifts. You don't have to dive in head first. Maybe you start with a dream, or that one person who bugs you, or 5 minutes of quiet. Jung would say it's not about beating the shadow down. It's about shaking its hand. Because when you do, it stops pulling strings behind your back. That anger you bury, it won't explode at the wrong moment. That fear you ignore, it won't sneak up in the dark. It's like taming a wild pup. Give it some love, and it calms down. And the best part, this quiet adventure doesn't just settle things inside, it grows you. I started doing this stuff, scribbling dreams, noticing my triggers, and I swear, I feel steadier. Not perfect, not some glowing saint, but more me. Like I'm not fighting myself anymore. Priya told me she's laughing more now, not the forced kind, but real belly-deep laughs. That's what Jung promised, not a quick fix, but a slow, warm unfolding into who you really are. So how about you? Ready to crack that door a little? You don't need to rush, just pick one thing. Next time you're mad, sad, or stuck, pause. Write it, feel it, ask it what it's got to say. You're not digging up trouble. You're inviting a guest who's been waiting to sit with you. And who knows? That guest might bring a gift you didn't expect, a little peace, a spark of courage, a piece of the real you. Take that step and see where this quiet adventure leads. All right, we've cracked open that shadow door a bit, sat with some feelings, maybe even jotted down a dream or two. Now let's take a little detour, down a winding path into a part of you that's alive with mystery. Carl Jung didn't see your unconscious mind as just a dusty attic full of old junk. To him, it was more like a hidden garden, wild, messy, but buzzing with life. It's where dreams bloom, fantasies flicker, and little symbols pop up like fireflies, lighting up truths you didn't know you knew. Let's start with dreams again, because they're like the front gate to this garden. You've had those nights, right? Where you wake up and go, "Whoa, what was that?" Maybe you're flying over treetops, or arguing with a stranger who feels oddly familiar. Jung thought these weren't just weird brain hiccups. They're stories your unconscious spins, little plays it puts on to get your attention. I had one a while back where I was lost in a forest, holding a lantern that wouldn't light. Spooky, sure, but it stuck with me. So I sat with it, grabbed a coffee, scribbled it down. Why a forest? Why a busted lantern? It hit me later. I'd been feeling lost in life, fumbling for direction, but too stubborn to ask for help. That dream wasn't random. It was my shadow and unconscious teaming up, saying, "Hey, you're in the dark, but you've got a light. Fix it." Jung would nod at that. He said dreams don't just replay your day. They dig deeper, showing you what's brewing beneath the surface. What about you? Next time you wake up from a wild one, don't just shake it off. Let it linger. Was there a place, a house, a road that felt alive? A person who made you mad or safe? I bet there's a thread there, tugging at something your daytime self hasn't noticed. My friend Leo once dreamed he was swimming in a river, fighting the current. He woke up sweaty, but curious. Turns out, he'd been pushing too hard at work, against his own flow. That river was his unconscious waving a flag. Slow down, buddy. Then there's fantasies. The daydreams that sneak up when you're staring out a window or stuck in traffic. Ever catch yourself imagining something big, like running off to a new city, or telling off someone who's been on your nerves? Jung thought these weren't just fluff. They're the unconscious stretching its legs. I used to daydream about standing on a stage, talking to a crowd. Me, the guy who hates public speaking. But it kept coming back, like a song stuck in my head. One day I asked it, "Why this?" And it clicked. That fantasy wasn't about fame. It was my shadow whispering, "You've got something to say." Jung would say that's the magic beneath. Fantasies aren't silly escapes, they're clues. They shape what you do, what you want, even if you don't see it yet. So next time you drift off into one, don't laugh it away. What's it pointing to? Maybe that wild idea's got a seed of truth your unconscious wants you to plant. Now, let's talk symbols, those little images that pop up and feel bigger than they should. Jung was obsessed with them. A wolf in your dream, a bridge you keep picturing, a random doodle you sketch. They're like signposts from the unconscious. I had this thing with doors for a while. I dream of them, draw them, even notice them more in real life. Weird, right? But I leaned in. Doors mean openings, choices. My unconscious was nudging me. Pick one, step through. Ever have a symbol like that? Something that keeps showing up, quiet but stubborn. My friend Mia, she's the sweet one from earlier, kept seeing birds. In dreams, on walks, even in random chats. She finally looked it up. Birds can mean freedom, flight. She'd been stuck in a job she hated, and her unconscious was like, "Time to fly." She didn't quit right away, but it got her thinking. That's the thing with symbols. They don't scream. They whisper until you listen. Jung's big take was this. The unconscious isn't just a storage bin for forgotten stuff. It's alive, active, shaping you every day. Dreams, fantasies, symbols, they're not accidents. They're your inner world talking, sometimes louder than your awake self. I think of it like a radio station you didn't know you tuned into. One night, I dreamed of a wolf staring at me. No fear, just eyes locked. I woke up buzzing. Later, I read wolves can mean instinct, strength. My unconscious was like, "Trust your gut. You've got this." Here's a real kicker. Jung believed this magic beneath doesn't just mess with you. It can ripple out to the world. Think about it. Big ideas, art, even history's wild turns often start with someone's dream or hunch. Ever hear how a song popped into a musician's head out of nowhere? Or how a leader had a vision that changed everything? That's the unconscious at play, not just in you, but in all of us. My pal Tara, the one with the grandpa story, started painting after a dream about colors swirling. She's no pro, but it's freed something in her. So, what's stirring in your garden? Next time you dream of a strange place, or daydream something bold, or spot a symbol that won't quit, don't shrug it off. Grab a notebook, a quiet corner, and let it talk. What's it showing you? Maybe it's a nudge to rest, a call to be brave, or just a reminder you're more than you think. Jung would say this is where the magic happens, not out there, but down here, in the wild, beautiful mess beneath. Tune in and see what you hear. We've been on quite a journey, haven't we? Peeking into the shadow, chasing dreams, finding little sparks of magic in the mess. Now let's bring it all together, because this isn't just about you and me sitting cozy with our thoughts. Carl Jung had a bigger dream, that facing our shadows isn't just a personal win, but a gift to the world. It's about owning what's ours, the good, the rough, the hidden, and seeing how it ties us to everyone else. Ready to step up? Let's start close to home, with you. Owning your shadow isn't about beating yourself up for every grumpy moment or buried wish. It's about looking in the mirror and saying, "Yep, that's me too." I had to do this a while back. I'd been dodging a fight with a friend, let's call her Sarah. She'd flake on plans, and I'd stew quietly, all I'm fine on the outside. But one day I caught myself. Why was I so mad? Turns out, I wasn't just annoyed at her. I was mad at myself for not speaking up. So I owned it. I called her, not to yell, but to say, "Hey, this bugs me, and I've been too quiet about it." It was shaky, messy, but honest. And you know what? She didn't run. We talked, laughed even, and it felt like clearing the air after a storm. Jung would say that's the trick. When you stop letting the shadow run the show behind your back, you get free. That anger doesn't own you, you own it. And it's not heavy, it's power, turned into something real. Try it yourself. Next time you feel that itch, jealousy, frustration, whatever, don't shove it down. Pause and ask, what's mine here? Maybe you're snappy because you're stretched thin, or quiet because you're scared to shine. Owning it doesn't mean you're broken, it means you're brave. I started doing this more, admitting when I'm tired, saying no when I need to, and it's like I'm lighter on my feet. You're not hiding anymore, you're standing tall. But here's where Jung gets big picture. Your shadow doesn't stop with you. It's tied to the world out there, the collective mess we've been talking about. If you let that anger fester, it doesn't just sit in your chest. It spills into a harsh word, a cold shoulder, a little crack in your corner of life. But if you own it, face it, it shifts. You're not just saving yourself. You're tossing a lifeline to everyone else. Think of it like ripples in a pond. One small stone can spread calm instead of chaos. Let's zoom out to that bigger world. Jung saw the collective shadow everywhere. Wars, grudges, the way we turn on each other when we're scared. It's not just history book stuff, it's alive today. Look around. Arguments that won't heal. Old hurts we pretend don't sting. I saw it in my family once. There was this quiet rift. Nobody talked about it. But it was there, like a wall between my dad and his brother. Something about money, years back. It wasn't loud, but it shaped everything. Awkward dinners, short calls. One day, my dad broke the silence. He didn't have a big plan, just called his brother and said, "I miss you." It wasn't magic. They didn't hug it out right away. But it cracked that wall. They started talking, slow, clumsy, real. An apology came later, then a laugh. Jung would love that. He said collective healing starts with owning our part, saying sorry, listening, letting the past breathe. It's not about erasing it. It's about facing it so it doesn't choke us anymore. Think about the world right now. Big stuff, like fights between countries, or small, like neighbors who won't look at each other. It's the same shadow at work, piling up because nobody wants to own it. But what if we did? What if we said, "Yeah, we messed up," or "I see you're hurt"? I read about a town once where folks held a meeting, years after a feud split them. They didn't solve it all, but they talked. Tears, stories, a few sorries. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Ripples, right? Here's a story closer to me. My friend Sam, the tough guy with the soft side, grew up hearing his dad trash talk outsiders. It was just noise to him, until he got older and saw it wasn't harmless. One night over beers, he asked his dad, "Why do you say that?" It was tense. His dad bristled, then went quiet. But Sam kept at it, gentle but firm. Eventually, his dad mumbled about some old fear, a job lost decades ago. It didn't fix years of bitterness, but it opened a crack. Sam owned his part, challenging that shadow, and it shifted something bigger. That's what Jung meant by moral responsibility. It's not about guilt trips or pointing fingers. It's about courage, owning your shadow so it doesn't run wild, and helping the world do the same. You don't have to fix everything. Maybe it's a talk with a friend, a sorry to someone you've hurt, or just listening when nobody else will. I started small, apologizing to Sarah, saying no instead of faking yes. It's not loud, but it's real, and it adds up. Imagine if we all did this, just a little. families talking instead of stewing, towns facing old ghosts instead of hiding them, countries saying, "We were wrong, let's heal." It's not a fairy tale, it's hard, messy work. But Jung believed it's possible, because it starts with us. I think of Tara painting her swirls, Sam cracking his dad's wall, my dad calling his brother. Small stones, big ripples. You're not just one person. You're part of something huge when you own it. So where do you start? Pick one thing, something in your shadow you've dodged. Maybe it's a grudge you're tired of carrying, or a truth you've ducked. Own it, say it out loud, write it down, tell someone. Then look out. Where's the world's shadow touching you? A family fight, a quiet hurt in your circle? Step in, not to save the day, but to listen, to say sorry, to start a ripple. Jung would cheer you on. Every bit you own lights up the dark, for you and everyone else. Here we are, at the end of this little trip through the corners of your mind, and maybe the world too. We've wandered into that dusty shadow room, peeked behind the ego's busy desk, and pulled back the curtain on dreams and collective ghosts. It's been a lot, hasn't it? But I hope it's felt more like a cozy chat than a heavy lecture. Carl Jung's big idea, the one that's carried us this far, is so simple, yet so wild. What if the parts of you you're afraid to face are the ones waiting to set you free? Let's take a step back and look at what we've found. That shadow. It's not a monster lurking to ruin your day. It's more like a friend you've ignored, maybe a little scruffy, a bit loud, but loyal. It's got your anger, your envy, those wild dreams you laugh off. But it's also holding your courage, your spark, the stuff that makes you you. We saw it in the ego's masks, how you play roles to fit in, and in the unconscious, spinning tales through dreams and fantasies. It's all part of the same story. There's more to you than meets the eye. Remember Mia, snapping quietly in her sweetness, or Sam, tough but teary? Tara painting her swirls, my dad calling his brother? These aren't just stories, they're proof. Proof that when you turn toward that shadow, it doesn't bite, it softens. It hands you back pieces of yourself you didn't know you'd lost. And it's not just about you. Every time you own a piece, say sorry, speak up, let a hurt breathe. You're stitching the world a little tighter too. I've felt this myself. After scribbling dreams, facing my quiet grudges, saying no when I needed to, something shifted. I'm not a new person, no cape, no halo, but I'm more me. Like I've stopped wrestling myself and started walking side by side with all my messy bits. It's not perfect. Some days, I still shove stuff under the rug. But now I know it's there, and I can pull it out when I'm ready. That's what Jung wanted, not perfection, but wholeness. So what about you? You've stuck with me this far. Maybe you've nodded at a story, felt a twinge of "that's me," or scribbled a note to yourself. This isn't the end, it's a beginning. Jung's whole deal was about becoming who you're afraid to be. Not the polished you, but the real one. The one who's got shadows and light, quirks and dreams, all mixed up in a beautiful tangle. What if that's the you the world's been waiting for? Here's my ask, nothing big, just a whisper. Take one step. Maybe tonight, when it's quiet, grab a pen and write down a feeling you've buried. That annoyance you brushed off. That wish you called silly. Just let it sit on the page. Or tomorrow, when someone bugs you, pause and wonder, what's this showing me? You don't have to solve it all. Just start. Peek at that shadow, give it a nod, and see what it hands you back. A little truth, a bit of peace, maybe a smile you didn't expect. And don't stop there. Look out at your world, your family, your street, the news buzzing with noise. Where can you own something? A sorry you've held back, a hand you can reach out, a quiet moment to listen? It's not about fixing the planet single-handed. It's about your ripple, small, real warm. Like my dad's call, or Tara's paintbrush, or Sam's beer with his dad. One step in your house can echo out there, lighting up corners you didn't even see. Jung left us with this. The dark isn't the enemy, it's the doorway. You don't have to be afraid of it. Step through, and you might find the you you've been hiding. The one who's messy, brave, real, and ready. I've seen it in myself, in friends, in little moments that grow. It's not loud or fast. It's quiet, steady, like a fire that warms instead of burns. And it's yours, whenever you want it. So, Here's my last spark for you. What if the you you've been afraid to be is the one we all need? The one who stumbles but stands, who owns the shadows and shares the light. Take that step, big or small, and watch what happens. You're not just becoming yourself. You're becoming something the world can lean on. And trust me, it's waiting for you with open arms.